Welcome. Today, we're actually going to do something a little different here.
Oh.
Yeah, instead of our usual kind of unpacking complex topics, today, we're going to be telling some stories.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Story time, I like it.
Exactly. And these aren't, made-up stories. They're real accounts. Pretty unsettling ones, actually.
Right.
They were shared by people who had the experience of working alone, specifically at gas stations during the night shift, those really isolating hours.
Yeah, and when you think about it, a gas station late at night, it's such a unique kind of place, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So transient, usually anonymous, and often just incredibly isolated. It feels like anything can happen.
It does. And these accounts, they really highlight how fast that seemingly normal everyday space can turn into the backdrop for something. Genuinely disturbing, unpredictable.
Absolutely. Human behavior can be strange enough during the day, let alone at 3 a.m. in the middle of nowhere.
Precisely. And the sources we looked at provide some really stark examples. So let's just jump right into the first story from these shared experiences.
Okay.
This one comes from someone who worked the night shift at a gas station for several years. And it details this recurring customer. Started out strange, but then it escalated. Really escalated.
Okay, so a regular, what was his usual deal? What did the source say about him, normally?
Well, according to the worker, this guy would come in maybe every few days, and he always looked rough. Like he hadn't slept in ages, always seemed paranoid too, glancing around constantly.
Soupy.
Very. He'd grab some food, usually junk food, always paid with exact cash, always. Never said a word, and then he'd just rush out. Like he couldn't get away fast enough.
So just this weird, silent presence in the otherwise quiet night shift?
Exactly. A bit odd, sure, but maybe not outright alarming at first.
Right, you see all sorts of those shifts. So what changed? What was the turning point the source talked about?
It was one night, maybe around 2 a.m. He came in, but instead of his usual grab-and-go routine, he just started pacing.
Pacing inside the store?
Yeah, frantically, up and down the aisles, back and forth, and he stayed way longer than usual, like noticeably longer.
Okay, that's different.
And the worker noticed something else. There was no car outside, which was really weird for the station. You basically had to drive there.
So he walked. That's odd in itself.
Definitely odd. And seeing him so agitated, pacing like that, the worker, tried to be helpful, asked him, "Hey man, are you okay? Can I call someone for you?"
He's trying to reach out.
Yeah.
A human moment in a weird situation. How did the guy react to that?
Yeah.
According to the source.
He just stopped, dead still,
Yeah.
and shot this look at the worker.
A look?
Yeah, the source described his eyes as dark, sleepless, didn't say a word, just that intense look. Then he bolted.
Just ran out.
Ran right out the door. And the worker watched him just walk away, down the road, away from the station until he just disappeared into the darkness.
Wow. No car, just walking off into the night after that reaction.
Yeah, nothing else happened that night, but it was unnerving to say the least.
I can imagine. That sudden switch from frantic energy to that silent, intense stare. It's chilling. And the source said this wasn't a one-off. It happened again.
It did the very next night. Same time, same guy, same frantic pacing.
Seriously.
Yep. And as soon as the worker asked, need anything, boom, he rushed out again, walked off down the road again. The worker was actually getting pretty worried about him by then.
Yeah, you would be. 2 nights of that. Okay, so after that intensity, the source says he showed up again the next night, but acted normally. How did that feel?
Right. Total whiplash. The source describes it as just back to his usual routine. Came in, got his food, paid the exact cash, left quickly. Business as usual.
Huh.
But here's a really interesting detail the source mentioned. For the first time ever, after months of just silence, as he was leaving that night, it quietly said, "Thank you."
Whoa.
Ew.
After all that.
Yeah. Just that one little thank you. Almost like out of character, And then he was gone again. Didn't see him for about a week after that.
That single thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, given everything that happened before and, what happens next, it feels really significant, doesn't it? Almost like a little moment of something amidst whatever chaos was going on with him.
It really does add another strange layer to it all. And then, like you said, what happened next? A week later, he was back.
Okay.
But it was different again. This time, the source says he actually drove up in his truck, parked it.
Ah, so he had a vehicle this time.
He did, walked in, but really slowly, like deliberately slow, and just stopped right in the middle of the store. Had this blank, almost shocked look on his face.
Blank?
Yeah, looked even more exhausted than usual, if that was possible, and he took like almost 10 minutes just to choose a bag of chips.
10 minutes. Just standing there, looking drained, deciding on shift. That's a big change from rushing in and out.
Huge change. Everything about him felt slow, heavy. What did the source say about the actual purchase?
He moved slowly towards the counter, handed over the cash. No rush at all this time. And again, the source notes this.
Yeah.
As the worker gave him his change, he quietly said, "Thank you." The second time ever.
The second time ever. And the worker watched him walk back out, slow steps, towards his truck.
Okay. And this is where the story just completely flips, right? Takes that terrifying turn.
Absolutely. It's abrupt. The source says the man got to his truck door, stopped right beside it, just stood there for a second, and then bam, out of nowhere,
What happened?
4 men just ran up on him aggressively, grabbed him, dragged him across the parking lot, violently threw him into a van that had pulled up.
Oh my God.
The van just immediately sped off,
Yeah.
gone, leaving his truck sitting right there.
That contrast, his quiet, almost resigned behavior inside, and then that sudden, brutal violence right outside. It's just jarring.
Totally jarring, and the source really emphasizes how fast it happened, how the isolation of the place just allowed it. No one else around to intervene immediately.
Right. What happened after?
Achilles. Yeah, the worker called 911 immediately. According to the source, when the police got there, they ran the truck's plates. It belonged to his father.
His God.
Yeah, the dad came down, identified him from the security camera footage, but that was basically it.
They didn't find him. Or the guys in the van.
No, the source clearly states the kidnappers were never identified, the van was never found, the man, he was never found. And the worker's feeling, having seen how violent it was, their gut feeling, according to the source, was that he probably never would turn up, just vanished.
Wow. That's heavy. It's such a stark reminder of that feeling of absolute helplessness, watching something horrific unfold right where you work. You're just trying to sell chips and gas, and suddenly you're witnessing that.
Yeah, drawn into something so dark, just by being there.
Okay. Phew. Let's move to the next account, maybe. Cleanse the palate slightly. Or maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not cleanse entirely. The second account comes from a university student, 26 years old at the time, working part-time, doing the overnight shift, 10 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Right? Common gig for students. Flexible hours, but yeah, lonely.
Very. They'd had just a couple of training shifts, and then boom, they were on their own during those dead, quiet hours.
Lots of downtime, I imagine. Quick tasks, then waiting.
Exactly. The source describes just doing the usual stuff, stocking shelves, rolling a cart down the aisle. And then they heard the front door chime. It opened.
Okay.
They
Customary.
looked up, expecting someone, but nobody there. And the door just slowly swung shut on its own.
Wind, maybe? Or someone poking their head in and leaving.
That's what they figured. Someone forgot something, changed their mind, no big deal. Kept working.
Easily explained away at first. But the source says it happened again.
It did. A bit later, they were heading back from the stockroom. And chime. Front door opens again.
Same thing. Nobody there.
Same thing. They rounded the corner, looked. Empty store. This time they actually went outside. Looked around the parking lot, down the street. No cars, no people, nothing.
Okay. Getting a little weirder now.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah. So they went back inside, closed the door, went back to the counter. Still trying to rationalize it maybe, but starting to feel a little off.
I bet. 2 phantom door openings. What happened next that changed things? That made it feel less like a random glitch.
Well, the source says they were behind the counter and then they heard something else. Not the front door this time, the back door.
Back door. What kind of sound?
Just a small thump, like thump once, like maybe someone tried the handle or bumped into it, then silence.
It's just one thump.
Just one, but that one sound was enough. It prompted them to check the security cameras. They pulled up the feed for the back door specifically.
Okay. Smart move. And what did the camera show, according to the source?
It showed a man standing right there, outside the back door. His hand was on the door handle, and he was just completely still.
Standing there, holding the handle, not moving.
Not moving at all, just frozen.
Okay, that's creepy. A silent figure caught on camera, just waiting.
Exactly. Super unsettling. So they kept the back camera feed up on the monitor, but then their mind clicked back to the front door opening twice earlier.
Connecting the dots.
Right. So they pulled up the front door camera footage and rewound it, and the source says they saw the same man.
The same guy from the back door.
The very same guy. They watched him walk up to the front door, push it open, and then run around to the back of the building. out of the front camera's view.
So he was the one opening the front door, but why run to the back?
And he did it again. Minutes later, the footage showed him do the exact same thing. Open the front, run to the back. Then, presumably, he just stayed at the back door where the worker first saw him on camera.
Okay, that's not random, that's purposeful.
Yeah.
And very weird.
Totally. Seeing that pattern, seeing him deliberately scout the place like that, the worker immediately called 911. Didn't hesitate.
Good. Trusting that instinct. Even though he was just standing there silently on camera at that moment, the whole sequence added up to danger.
Absolutely. So they're on the phone with the 911 operator, trying to explain what's happening, watching the monitor, and then the source says they heard another thump from the back door.
He tried the handle again.
Must have. They looked at the cameras again, and suddenly the man wasn't at the back door anymore. He was running around the side of the building, back towards the front.
Oh, God. Coming to the front.
Coming to the front. The source says they dropped the phone, instinctively reached under the counter, and grabbed the pistol they kept there. Just in case.
Smart precaution. Adrenaline must have been pumping. What did the source say happened right then?
The man just barged through the front door, threw it open with force. The worker said they were surprised the glass didn't shatter.
Okay, confrontation time.
He ran straight at the worker behind the counter. Looked like he was, gonna attack. But then, just as suddenly, he stopped short.
Stopped.
Yeah, stopped, turned around, and ran back towards the rear of the store again, into the stockroom area.
What the That makes no sense. Charge, then retreat.
Totally erratic. Then the worker heard it. Loud thumps, bang, 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 like someone kicking a door really hard, coming from the back. Then, silence.
Kicking a door in, then silence.
Yeah. The worker, heart pounding, picked the phone back up, finished explaining the situation to the 911 operator who was still on the line.
That whole sequence. The silent watching, the sudden burst of running, the aborted charge, the violence against the door, then silence. It's incredibly unnerving. Speaks to someone really not right in the head.
Definitely. And within about 5 minutes, thankfully, the police arrived. Sirens off, probably.
Right. How did that go down?
According to the source, 3 officers came in, moved cautiously towards the back, guns drawn. They went through the door the man had apparently kicked down.
And they found him. What was the scene?
The source says the police found the man just standing in a corner of the back room, whispering to himself.
Whispering?
Yeah. And seemingly completely unaware that the police were even there, just lost in his own world. And he was holding a kitchen knife.
Oh, wow. Okay, so he was armed? That could have gone very badly.
Yeah, very badly. Thankfully, it sounds like the officers handled it well. The source mentions he suddenly lunged at the officers with the knife when they approached.
He'd attacked them.
Attempted to, but they were able to take him down quickly, apparently without anyone getting seriously hurt.
Thank God. What did the source say about, his condition? Did they find out why he was doing all this?
Well, the worker was apparently surprised. They said he didn't seem drunk or high on drugs, just off.
Right.
And one of the officers, according to the source, just kind of said to the worker, some people are just crazy.
Yeah. Sometimes there isn't a neat explanation.
Exactly. The worker just felt incredibly lucky they hadn't been harmed, especially with him having that knife. The source says the man never gave any reason, never explained what he was doing there or why he acted like that, just silence.
And that's often the most chilling part, isn't it? The complete lack of motive, the irrationality of it all. The source really captures that jump from eerie silence on camera to sudden violent potential with no why behind it.
It really does. It's a scary reminder that sometimes disturbing things happen for no reason you can understand. They just happen.
Yeah. Truly terrifying.
Okay, let's shift to our third story. This account comes from someone whose dad actually owns a gas station, kind of on the edge of their town.
Family business?
Yeah. They'd worked there for years, helped out covering shifts whenever needed, but the overnight shifts, especially when they were short-staffed, those were their least favorite. Messed with sleep, always felt drained.
Understandable. That graveyard shift fatigue is real, and it probably makes you less alert, sets the stage for the unexpected.
Totally. So the source describes this one particular night, sitting at the register, drinking coffee, just trying to stay awake. It was raining really hard.
Oh, rain always makes those nights feel heavier, more isolated.
Definitely. The sound on the roof wasn't helping them stay awake, and the rain kept most customers away, so the station felt even more cut off than usual. Then, around 1 a.m., a beat-up gray SUV pulls in, parks by one of the pumps, but it just sits there for 5 or 6 minutes, engine running, nobody getting out.
Already a little unusual. Most people get right out to pump.
Right. Finally, the engine cuts off. A man gets out. Dark hoodie, black jeans. Just kind of looked like anyone, maybe a bit rough.
Okay, seems normal enough at first glance, despite the weight.
That's how it started. But then, the source says he went around to the back of the SUV, opened the trunk, and started pulling out gas cans.
Gas cans, plural.
Oh, yeah. He brought out 3 at first, set them on the ground by the pump, filled them up, then set them down. Then he went back to the trunk and pulled out more cans.
More. How many are we talking?
The source estimates he eventually pulled out and filled up probably 10 to 15 gas cans in total.
15 gas cans. What on earth for?
Exactly what the worker was thinking. Once he finished filling the last one, he put the pump nozzle back, and then he just stood there.
Stood there.
Yeah, next to all these gas cans scattered on the wet ground around him, and he just stared at them for like 2 whole minutes, just staring down at the can.
Okay, no. That's not normal behavior.
Yeah.
That extended, silent stare at a huge pile of full gas cans.
Yeah.
That's a massive red flag. Something is seriously wrong there.
The source felt the same way, said it was deeply unsettling to watch. Then, after just staring, the man slowly turned his head and looked directly at the shop window, right at the worker.
Oh, great. Made eye contact.
The worker looked away immediately, pretended to be busy. A few seconds later, the man started walking towards the shop entrance.
Okay, here we go.
He came inside, didn't come straight to the counter though.
Yeah.
He went down one of the back aisles, kind of out of direct sight for a moment. The source heard him shuffling something on a shelf back there, like moving stuff around.
Weird detour. Then he came to pay.
Then he came up to the counter, and he put one item down.
Just one thing after all that. What was it?
A box of matches.
Oh, no. Matches.
Oh.
With 15 cans of gasoline outside.
Yeah. The source describes their stomach just dropping, instantly connecting the dots. The sheer volume of gas, the weird staring, now matches.
Yeah, that's terrifying. What did the guy say?
He seemed impatient suddenly. He kind of snapped, "Come on, I gotta get going," almost yelling it.
Impatient after staring for minutes. Okay.
The worker picked up the matches, like they were going to scan them, but their mind was racing. They knew they couldn't sell them to him, not after seeing all that gas.
Right decision. Tough spot to be in, though. What did they say?
The source describes trying to sound calm but firm, said something like, I'm not sure if I'm comfortable selling these to you. Hoping, maybe he'd just get the hint and leave.
Wow. That takes guts. Standing up to someone in that situation, based purely on intuition, how did he react? The source mentions his reaction.
Oh, yeah. The source says the man just looked them right in the eyes, held their gaze.
Yeah.
And then he made a joke.
A joke now.
Yeah. Smiled, even. Said, "What, you think I'm going to burn a house down or something?"
He actually said that.
Said that. Held eye contact while smiling. Then, like flipping a switch, the smile vanished. He stepped back, threw his hands up in the air, flipped the worker the middle finger, and just stormed out.
Whoa. That sudden shift from a creepy joke to just vulgar anger, that's deeply disturbing.
Extremely. And knowing what we find out later from the source, that joke, it wasn't a joke at all. It was chillingly close to his actual plan.
Unbelievable. So what happened then? He just left.
Well, while the man was outside, loading all those cans back into his SUV, which must have taken a minute, the worker immediately got on the phone and called the police.
Okay, good. What did they tell the police? I mean, technically he hadn't done anything illegal yet, right? Just bought gas and tried to buy matches.
Exactly, and the source makes that point. They told the dispatcher they had serious concerns, but no concrete evidence of a crime. Just that the whole situation, the amount of gas, the staring, the comment, the matches, it all felt really off. Dangerously off.
Still, it takes courage to make that call based on a gut feeling, especially when you can't point to a specific law being broken right then.
For sure. About a minute later, the man finished loading the cans and just drove away. Vanished into the rainy night.
Okay, did the police show up then?
Not right away. It was about 2 hours later, actually, that a police car pulled into the station lot.
2 hours. Yeah. An officer came in and, according to the source, said they had some questions about the man reported earlier that night. The worker recounted everything again. The cans, the staring, the matches, the joke.
And did the officer connect it to anything?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The officer then told the worker something that made everything click into place horribly, about an hour after the worker's initial call to the police.
Yeah.
A worried mother had called 911. She reported that her husband, during a bad argument, had threatened to burn their house down, with her and presumably others inside it.
Oh my God, the joke wasn't a joke.
Not even close. And she told the police she hadn't seen her husband since he'd left after the argument, which was right around the time he was at the gas station. So the worker's intuition, refusing the matches, calling the police, it was all completely justified. That casual, disturbing comment was literally a preview of his intent.
Exactly. This story is just, wow. It's such a powerful illustration of why you have to trust your instincts sometimes, even when you don't have solid proof right in front of you.
Absolutely critical. Did the source say what happened to the guy? Did they catch him?
Well, a week went by, and the worker was obviously still thinking about it. They called the police station just to ask if there was any update.
Yeah.
And the police, according to the source, told them yes, they had caught him. It happened 2 nights after the incident at the gas station.
How did they catch him?
Apparently, he'd been missing for those 2 days. Then, in the middle of the night, he showed up back at the house and started pouring gasoline on the property.
He was actually doing it.
He was starting to. But fortunately, because of the threat report and the gas station worker's call, the police had anticipated he might return. They had stationed an officer nearby, keeping watch on the house.
Wow. So they caught him right in the act.
Caught him right in the act, stopped him immediately before he could light it.
Thank goodness. That could have been absolutely catastrophic.
Unimaginably worse. The worker, according to the source, said they still couldn't quite believe it all happened. Called it the most disturbing thing they'd ever been involved with at this station. And they were acutely aware of how much worse it could have been if they just thought, oh, it's just a weird guy, and sold him those matches.
Yeah. That one small interaction, that refusal based on a gut feeling, it potentially averted an absolute tragedy. The source material here just hammers home how much unseen danger can lurk beneath what seems like a simple everyday transaction.
It really does. You know, looking back at all 3 of these accounts, they come from different people, different places, different specific circumstances, but they paint such a clear, shared picture, don't they? This unique vulnerability, being alone, often late at night, and these places that are just built for quick, anonymous pass-throughs.
Exactly. And the encounters described in these sources, they're sudden, they're deeply unsettling, and often, for the workers who live through them, there's no clear reason, no rational motivation they can point to, no satisfying resolution even.
Right, like with the first guy, just vanished, the second guy, just crazy. The third, thankfully stopped, but the intent was terrifyingly real.
They really reveal how fast a quiet, ordinary situation can just flip, become intensely tense, or even terrifyingly dangerous. It exposes you to the really unpredictable, sometimes frightening side of human behavior that you just don't expect in your day-to-day public interactions, especially working isolated night shifts.
And it's important to remember, these are real stories, shared directly by the people who experience them. They live through this stuff.
Which definitely leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it?
It does, maybe. Maybe think about this next time you're out and about. How many completely ordinary places that we just pass through every day, gas stations, convenience stores, quiet offices late at night, how many might hold these hidden, unsettling stories? And think about the people quietly working there. Often unseen, unnoticed, they might be the silent witnesses to these moments of just profound disturbance or potential danger or just plain inexplicable human strangeness.
Yeah. What really goes unnoticed all around us every single day. Kind of a sobering thought.
It really is. Well, thank you for joining us for this storytelling session today, for listening to these unsettling accounts drawn directly from the experiences shared by gas station night shift workers. That pretty much concludes our telling of these particular stories.
Stay safe out there.
Yeah. And before you go, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs. It really helps us out.
It does. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.